Welcome to DAEMONCEMBER, and one of the simplest but also most striking paint jobs I've done this year. Although I do require a little bit of backstory, as I often do, so let's get started. One of my subscribers, Andre van der Wiels, suggested that if we have October for painting orcs in October, why shouldn't we have DAEMONCEMBER, where we, as should be obvious, paint demons in December. I'm sure we can do other months as well if we want to get together and have a brainstorm about which month gets which thing, but for the moment, the problem I am facing in attempting this little idea is that I don't actually have any demon models. But whilst I was printing some of the Mantic Vault, I noticed something. This is Lunch. He's part of the Mantic Giant kit. Someone the giant has tied up to his belt to eat later, in a very similar way to how a farmer might tie a rabbit to their belt for dinner. But because this model is hanging upside down, if you invert it, because it's been sculpted to be hanging upside down, it looks very unnatural in this kind of very striking pose, and it immediately set my mind back to the old Inquisitor days of the bound demon hosts. And now that is perfect for our DAEMONCEMBER idea. And so I got to a painting, and as a further backstory, I've had the idea recently to paint a few models using solely environmental or object directional lighting, and I'll be doing that here. And what that means is that the skin's not going to be painted as skin, and the clothes and the ropes aren't going to be painted as clothes and rope. I'm going to have a really strong demonic red glow coming from underneath. And I'll do that soon, but to make sure that is the strongest part of the model, it needs to go on last, after the contrasting top half. And so I thought around for a little while, and I came to the idea of using green highlighted by hue into yellow, and that will make for an unpleasant ethereal glow. I will be painting pretty much the entire model with an airbrush, not that it didn't cause its issues, of course it did, but I was able to get the type of effect I was after. To ensure I had a good strong contrast of light and dark, on top of that a border between the ethereal green on top and the demonic red from underneath, I sprayed most of the model from underneath with black. And this actually acted very nicely as a really harsh undershot for the upper ethereal aspect of the model, which was an unexpected but quite welcome feature. For the lower half, I wanted a fairly long gradient in terms of the number of hues that would be placed cascading down the model. And I know that I have a rich dark brown that provides a perfect undercoat for red, so that went on first. And then I went through several mixes of other colours, the brown with the red alone, the red and yellow for a bright orange, before finally hitting just the feet with the pure yellow. Although to make this prominent, I may have flooded it just a tiny bit. Yellow pigments are always a bit fiddly. As I'm nearly done with the model, I need to find an appropriate base for this demon host to go on, or rather to float above. It took a bit of searching, but I did find a rocky base with a recess in the middle that I could create my glow portal in. But to start with, I'm going to paint rocks in a very similar way to I've shown painting rocks before. Paint it a particular colour, in this case green, and then a black wash and a grey dry brush gives a really nice rock effect without just being flat grey. And when I got to airbrushing the glow in this, I kind of overdid it, especially with the red. And overall, the whole base just kind of looks red, which was a shame. And I was hitting the edge of what I felt capable with using my airbrush, so I kind of did the last few things, the last little details, with a normal brush. And I wanted to push the contrast from that middle black all the way up into the yellow, and especially in the fingertips and the toes. At the same time, I could add a little more definition to the glowy rock by gently dry brushing some yellow in the places pointing upwards towards the feet. And this was much easier than using the airbrush because I'm picking out tiny aspects of the base at this point. Similarly, when I moved up to the model, I did start with a dry brush, but I quickly shifted from that to a more deliberate placement of yellow here. Dangerously close to an edge highlight, perhaps. Overall, this isn't a highly focused directional lighting effect. It really is just some simple airbrushing doing the heavy work here. But with the manually painted in, yes, I'll admit, edge highlight on the underneath, particularly around the ropes, it really gives that effect of a directional light. But by stacking the colours in the way that I have, I really do think I've achieved the look that I was after, certainly for my skill level with the airbrush. So, thanks to Andre for the prompt, and if anyone else wants to gear up for DAEMONCEMBER next year, well, you've got 11 months to get prepared. I'm ED-SKaR, always will be, and thank you very much for watching.